Most people aren't broke because they don't make enough. They're actually broke because they are quietly bleeding out money where they shouldn't be on things that society have made them believe are normal, but those things are absolutely not normal. The standard has been set by the world and you fall into that trap. These things are not normal. They could be done by a lot of people, but that doesn't mean you should do it and waste your money. I promise you, I'm going to be discussing with you 8 things that are quietly bleeding out your money. 8 things that you find normal but are not normal, and you shouldn't be doing these things. And you want to stay to the last point, but because this point is genuinely going to surprise you, you want to stay to the last point because it's genuinely going to surprise you. Number one is a brand new car. My brother, a car loses its value up to 15 to 20% of it once you drive it out of the lot of that forecourt. It's gone. The value is gone in that way. By year 3, you're equally talking about, losing up to 40% of the value, depending on the brand that you get. Some people make the mistake of even buying brands like Ford, Chrysler, Cadillac, all these American brands. Terrible decision. So this is one thing that many immigrants, many black people, many couples find themselves in. They believe that a new car is going to change things for them, or the society. Everyone does it anyways. Like, people walk into the vehicle dealership and then they grab a vehicle and then they put it on finance. My brother, the car that you cannot afford to buy outright is the car that you cannot afford. Even some people argue you have to be able to buy that car twice. If you can't buy it twice, it means you can't really afford it. You know what I'm saying? So I would advise you to stay away from a brand new car. The average American, average Canadian spends more than $600 on vehicle loan per month. And we're not even talking about your insurance. We're not talking about gas that's going up. We're not talking about maintenance, oil change, and all that. I see a lot of friends, a lot of people who have a Mercedes, and the fuel pump, the closing, I don't know what it's called. That part is always falling off in Mercedes. I don't know what's going on. And that part alone is $900 for some Mercedes. Okay? So this is a terrible decision. If you cannot purchase a car outright, please do not get into a car finance. I plead with you as an immigrant in US, in Canada, especially where we are, do not get into a car finance. These are mistakes that we've done, and we don't encourage that anymore. If you check the interest rate which you're paying, I went to the dealership the other day. I'm going to relate this even to home, okay? I went to the dealership the other day. I was looking at a Lexus RX, a 2022 Lexus RX. It's not even the newest. The newest is probably like $56,000. This one was around $42,000. And after they calculated the interest and the taxes, licensing fees, all that stuff, it was coming up to, I think, almost $60,000 or more. So think about that for a second, okay? So that the interest was about $11,000 over a 5-year term. And that is outrageous because that's what you're going to pay. As you pay the vehicle loan, a part of the payment that you're making is going towards the principal, and a part is going towards the interest. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. If you buy a vehicle of, let's say, the vehicle was about, let's say, $38,000. Okay, and your interest rate is about 7.99. Let's give you that. Some people might get a bit lower. Okay, and you financing the car for 5 years or 6 years. In that time, you are probably spreading your payments to be about $250 bi-weekly. Okay, if you calculate, if you do the math, it's going to be about $250 bi-weekly. And $200 goes towards the principal, paying down your car, actually. And $50 will go towards the interest. Now, check the $50 over a year and multiply that by 5 years. that will tell you what you essentially paid in interest. And as your car gets older, it goes down in value as much, depending on the type of, vehicle that you got. Okay. So I would advise you to stay away from vehicle loan. We could go into a longer conversation about it, but this is quietly draining your money. The second thing that is a complete waste of your money in this modern time are subscriptions that you've forgotten about. If we talk about the basic ones like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, even Prime, Apple TV, what's the other one? Disney, for people who watch that. And then you have other subscriptions, like for those of us who do video content production, Canva, some AI tools, ChatGPT, some of you who have insurance, GuardMe, and all that stuff that you have. This is actually quietly draining your money, and you don't need all this. I realized personally that I spend more time watching YouTube than I do watching Netflix. And yet I'm paying $20-something every month for Netflix. And when I look at my payment history for years that I've been paying Netflix, I could tell you that's coming up to more than $3,000. What am I even saying? That's being conservative. You don't need any of these subscriptions. Recently, I took 5 months banking statement of mine, and put it into ChatGPT and said, I gave it a prompt. Hey, identify patterns, trends, identify habits for me, my spending habit. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, how I'm moving money that's not right. Tell me where my money is going to that doesn't make sense. Identify all that to me. My brother, I had the biggest shock of my life. I had the biggest shock of my life where ChatGPT told me a lot of things and showed me where my money is going. Random shopping, random impulsive shopping. It mentioned the retail stores, random subscriptions that I have. And there were a lot of them. I had Fubu for watching Premier League. I had DAZN for watching, Champions League. I had an insurance, GuardMe. I had ChatGPT. It identified itself. I had Canva. I had Netflix. I had so many. I had like 13. I had Amazon. I had Prime. I had Hulu. I had a lot of subscriptions that I was like, I didn't even know. I had something with Adobe. Adobe, the PDF, whatever. And I wasn't even using any of those things, I had to go in and I canceled all of them. I took one day and literally canceled more than 10 different subscriptions. I had Apple Music, I had Apple TV, I had Spotify, I had YouTube Premium. It was a lot. And if you put all that together, I was bleeding about $400 a month. I was bleeding $400 a month. My brother, you can save a lot more money by not having any of those subscriptions. You don't need them in this day and time, okay? I would advise you to do the same thing. Take your statements, plug it into ChatGPT, advise it to identify your spending habits, where you could change things, and how you can be better with your money. The third thing are designer and luxury bags that you are paying a premium for. The best thing anyone could ever do for themselves, okay? One of the best things you could ever do for yourself is to be in shape. You know why I say that? No amount of designer wear, no amount of putting on something that looks extremely good and you feel good in it would make you look as appealing or as attractive if you are not already in shape. I don't want to drift too much from the point, but you don't need a designer suit. You don't need a designer shoe. You don't need all those fancy things in order for you to get the same result. But one of the best things you can do for yourself is not to be caught in that lifestyle where you need to keep up with carrying a Gucci bag, with wearing a Gucci watch, with glasses, Ray-Ban. Like, you don't want to be caught in that world. You don't want to be caught in that space. Be simple. The richest people are actually simple. The world is going in reverse now, my brother. You dressing up with all those designer things. Some of you, I watch some things, even I watch some programs like Pop the Balloon, and I see guys who still wear like, a big bold Gucci belt, and they put on heavy chain on their neck just to show that they've made it in life, or that they're, you don't have to speak too loud about your wealth. You don't have to display it. You don't have to, be showing materialism all around you. That is not the way to go, my brother. This thing is draining your money. Someone could go into Walmart and pick a nice shirt that fits them, that's elastic, that looks good on them. They'll look way better than you that bought the same shirt from Guess or Prada or wherever. You know what I'm saying? So please, this is quietly draining your money, and it's no longer necessary in this day and age. The fourth one are courses, ebooks, and all these programs that you never really get to finish. I was caught in the word. If I had my camera the other way, I would have shown you books, my bookshelf. I have a lot of books. I was caught in that space where I was acquiring a lot of books. And I was an avid reader. I read a lot. I read on my commute. I read in my spare time. But my brother, it's not all the books there that I've bought that I've read, because I felt like, I felt a connection with these books. And that was why, I bought them. But I haven't really had time to read most of it. These books that you are buying, I know it comes off like you are investing in yourself. I know it comes off like you are, I know it kind of hurts that, hey, like I did this. I bought this course to learn, one or two things that, invest in myself. I went into this $1,500 course in order to learn about AI. Yet you haven't started that course yet. You haven't opened it. You haven't done anything. All this money that you're spending on these courses, they are a drain and waste of your money. Because now it feels like you made that bold step, to finally be serious about something. But even those people who prepare those courses, they know that not everyone is going to complete it. What usually happens is that wave, that interest just kind of like dips and dies down. So you don't want to be caught in the space where you are spending money on courses that you don't actually read. Number 5 are extended warranties and insurance that you don't need. This is what we know the Western world for, especially Canada, US, London, all these areas, offering you things you don't need. When you go to buy a car, which we've talked about in the first point, that you don't need, when you go to do that, they will offer you, do you need rust protection? Do you need tire protection, battery coverage, blah, blah, blah. And all these things, when it's time for them to pay up, they wouldn't. They'll find a clause that says, hey, like, you needed, you only have 50%, you only have 20% coverage of it. They'll find a way to excuse themselves. My brother, you don't want to be caught in that space where you fall prey to any of these things. Usually those things will even, increase the amount overall that you're paying on a car. Okay, extend the coverage. They push all these things hard on you when you go to any store like Best Buy or any of those places to buy electronics or whatever. They will tell you, hey, do you need insurance on this thing? It's important for when there's a fall, blah blah, all that stuff. You don't need any of that. I know it's probably safe some of you, but you don't really need any of that. Like I know if you probably know yourself. Even when you buy an Apple phone, they ask you, do you want Apple Care? Most times, you don't really need any of that. To be honest, those things don't really offer you any value. You don't need that in this day and age because you end up spending a lot more money. It becomes a total waste. Number 6, daily coffee and convenient food habits. This is dating back to what I told you when I took my past 5 months bank statement and plugged into ChatGPT, and what I saw was bad. It essentially identified to me how many times I went to Tim Hortons, Starbucks, DoorDash, use of DoorDash, and all that. Essentially, if you are spending, let's assume you're spending $6 a day on coffee. Let's make it $5. You're spending $5 a day on coffee, average. Alexa, 365 times 5.
The product is $1,825.
That's about $1,825 you spent in a year only drinking coffee. I want that to sink in for you for a bit, okay? So, and that's just the coffee. Many of you eat out a lot and you always order food. And you not just order food for yourself, you order food for your family. And imagine if you're ordering, let's say on a weekly basis, you're spending about $200 ordering food for yourself and the family, which could be more. But we are trying to be conservative here. Okay? Check that and see how much you spent in a year. In a year, we're talking about weekly now, 200. Okay? And that's multiplied by 4. That's $400. Okay? And then $400 multiplied by 12. You know how much we're talking about here. So you got to pay attention to those orders that you're making, or those online orders that you're, making. You could save a lot more money by avoiding those. Number 7 is cable TV. Cable TV and all these legacy media packages. When I was signing up with Bell, they offered me this cable TV and all that. Oh, you get to watch this and watch that and watch that. I don't really need any of that. I don't need any of that because I never watch them anyways. The ones that I have, how many things could you ever watch at a time? How much time do you even have in a day? As a young man right now, aren't you supposed to be using your spare time to be more productive, to do things that are useful to you? How much time do you ever get to be watching cable TV? You've not finished the Netflix, you've not finished YouTube, you've not finished the courses, but you're watching cable TV. I think it's just a waste of your time. You know what I'm saying? I have a different way of passing this message. And as an immigrant, I'm talking to you too, like that's been in the country, that's left your home country. You don't need cable TV. You don't need any of that at all. The last I'm going to mention here is keeping up with a life you cannot afford. This is very common within the black community, within our community, and it needs to stop now. Otherwise, you will be the person that falls prey to it next. And the next person will be your kids, and your kids' kid, and you continue to pass on that mindset down your generation, where you find that everyone around you, is buying a house. Buying a house. They are not actually buying a house, though. They are going into a lifetime of what? Of what? Misery, slavery, mortgage. For 30 years. They can't move easily. They don't determine the housing market, which is going down. They are losing their money. They are losing equity on the house. There's a lot going on. They are tied down. They are paying $5,000 a month in mortgage and what is it called? And bills, utility bills and all that, and taxes. How much do they make? They can't travel. They can't go anywhere. They can't go on vacation. They can't give gifts to family and friends. Because what? 80% of their money, of their income, is going towards paying mortgage and car loan that they cannot afford. And insurance, the basic things, right? The mortgage, let's be conservative, $4,000. The mortgage, $4,000. The car loan, how much? Let's be conservative, $600. That's $4,600. Feeding, how much? Let's be conservative, $400. That's how much? We're talking about $5,000 already, just gone. In the basic things. We've not talked about insurance. We've not talked about, utility bills. We've not talked about any of that. When you get yourself into such arrangement just to keep up and appear that you are making it, you ain't making it though. You're not making it. Be honest with yourself. You're actually not making it. You are in debt to every other person. It appears that, you're all right. You ain't all right. You got to live a bit differently and make choices that are different going forward for your life and for your finances. That's all I have for you. Stay to the end of the video. I appreciate you. And go back, watch other videos of ours, and I hope you subscribe and stay along with the channel. Take it easy.